Before we begin, I just want to remind you that timestamps are available in the description, so you can jump around the video however you like. And if you have a topic you want me to discuss or just want to talk to me, you can click the link in the description to reach out. So Gen Zers are rapidly being fired in the job market today. A lot of employers are basically like, these little bad muffins are just not they're just not meeting our standards, so they're putting them out. Watch this video to fully understand why Gen Zers are being fired so rapidly and the implications it's going to have on Gen Z and society going forward. Today's video comes from Clownfish. Their channel will be linked in the description, so you go and support them. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Gen Z employees getting fired in droves at companies. And look, before we get into the video any further, well, first give a woohoo.
Please didn't I?
You didn't yet.
Sorry.
See, I'm kind of flipping
it all blurs
up a
together. You threw me off.
Sorry about that. But yeah, you know, this isn't to disparage all Gen Z. I want to be very clear. There are some hardworking kids out there. Some of them are like multimillionaires.
So let's be very, very clear. The typical Gen Zer is not a multimillionaire, and the ones who are multimillionaires, many of them made their money doing a lot of bad stuff. Okay, we're talking about guys like Neon and that idiot named Jack Dowtry or whatever the fuck his name is on social media. We're talking about these types of people, Logan Paul, and, you know, these types of bad muffins who go out there creating controversy and problems in society. All right, these are the people that no one actually likes. No one likes any of these people. These are the people that tend to be multimillionaires right now. We're talking about the Only Fools, Lonely Fans models, people like Amarath. I don't think she's a Gen Z. I think she's actually a millennial. But, you know, she's in that range, you know. People like Pokimane that are living off the simp economy. These people are not people that, you know, you really would respect heavily. I mean, these are, I'm not saying that some of them don't work hard, but like I said, Pokimane, she lives off her looks. She's living off the simp economy, you know. And of course, entertainment is valuable. You know, being able to entertain people is a very, very important thing, but it's different versus me having to provide actual value to my subscribers, me having to do critical analysis of things, creating courses, you know, teaching you guys, you know, that's providing actual value. Sitting around and just letting you stare at, you know, at me because I'm pretty, and then you give me money because I'm pretty, that's not really providing value. That's just feeding lust. And I know there's some of you who might disagree with that because you're fucking simps, but that's just the way it really is. So most of the Gen Zers who are making money, they're not making money by providing any real value to the world. You don't have a lot of Gen Zers running tech companies right now. You don't have a lot of Gen Zers that are starting up a business, a restaurant or a hair salon or and anything. Like, most Gen Zers are just at home sleeping and farting right now, or plotting how to get rich off TikTok. And they're really not even that good at using applications and software to design videos that people actually want to watch, because most Gen Zers are lazy as fuck.
But just in general, it seems like a lot of fresh out of college people especially aren't lasting very long in the workforce. And I think this kind of goes back to what we saw last year continuing into this year, that a lot of tech workers and journalists and, you know, of a certain age were getting laid off. And you look at the people that are getting laid off from different industries, and they tend to be younger, wet behind the ears, and entitled. And yeah, you know, I don't know if it's necessarily a generational thing, but it just seems like a lot of young people are not prepared for reality. For the workforce.
I think the sad truth is that there are a lot of people who are, but because of the extreme examples of those who aren't, a lot of people are getting lumped in like with that, and then they're not wanting to hire people of a certain age, a certain level of experience, and it's not any fault of their own. It's because their peers were dumbasses.
Yeah, it's so weird to see this pivot, because a couple of years ago, I can tell you as a guy who worked in tech, once you hit...
Oh yeah, I remember.
Once you hit 35, you were geriatric. They did not want you. And then now they're like, oh shit, these guys actually know how to make things go. They know how to make things run.
And you have people writing a whole article about how they're the chief vibe officer at their company. What do you do? I don't know, but I cheer everybody on when they do it. Can you do the work? No, but I cheer them on. It's like,
does that make money?
No.
No, it does not.
But unfortunately, that person, that article, that people are going to think of that when they think of Gen Z. And that's not really fair because there's a lot of Gen Z kids who are, now there's a lot like that, but there are a lot that aren't like that. There are a lot of people that are Gen Z that aren't in that camp, but they're going to get blamed the same.
Here's the thing. Just like we have a saying, all women are like that, all Gen Zers are like that. All right? All Gen Zers are like that. Even Gen Zers who may be proficient in a specific subject, they often lack skills in other areas. So they have poor communication skills, or even though they may be supposedly proficient, their hard skills are also not very good. So proficiency does not mean that you're necessarily very good at what you do. You may understand it, you may be able to explain it, but you're not necessarily very good at doing it. And when you have to work through certain problems, you basically break down. Like, guys, we live in the age of Google and ChatGPT. If you have a problem that you cannot solve, back in our day, we were fortunate enough to have Google, right? So, like in the early 2000s, we had Google. So if we were writing code and we didn't know what to do, okay, we could jump over to Google and we could look it up and we could look at libraries. Coders back in like the 70s and 80s, they didn't have any of that shit. Bro, they had none of that stuff. Like, basically, they were diving in books, making phone calls, reaching out to the senior programmers. Some of these guys, like, it was some crazy shit back then, going into, like, boxes, like, from the 60s, with like, papers in there, like handwritten notes. Like, it was some crazy shit. And then when Google came along, you can basically type in your problem and sometimes just copy and paste the answer, all right? You just had to understand the core mechanics of what you were doing. Then now they have ChatGPT, and these jackasses, they can't even work with that. Like, guys, before making this video, I was basically studying a lot of internalization within computer structures right now, because a lot of the tech has changed over the last 10 years. I used to work in IT. I did I started out with doing computer engineering, and then I went into software design, software engineering, and so I have a background in both of those fields. But I just felt like, man, my skill sets, they're not where they need to be. They're just not where they need to be. So I need to really brush my ass up. And I'm basically using ChatGPT, and I'm going through ChatGPT, and I'm referencing all of this information and learning what are the new techniques, what's this, what's that, how this software that's changed, this, and I'm basically upgrading my lexicon, asking questions. Like, before, you could never know what the stuff did. Now you can just ask ChatGPT and it will give you an entire breakdown and everything. And these idiots have all of these tools at their hands, and they're being allowed to even use them by their employers. For example, you need to write an email to someone. Bro, you can basically just use ChatGPT, all right, and feed in the information. These jokers, I don't know how to do that. Guys, you obviously know how to use ChatGPT for other stuff, all right? And if you yell at them, they'll just basically disappear on you. Even if you don't yell on them, they'll disappear on you. They'll take off partway through the day. These people are dangerous. Guys, you could never hire a Gen Zer to be an air traffic controller. Guys, they'll leave. These motherfuckers will leave the tower. You could never put them in that type of position. All right, they'll go home and go play Xbox. These punks, these bad muffins, these motherfuckers, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
So let's talk about this. This article is coming from Newsweek. We found it through the New York Post, but this is the original. It said companies are quickly firing their Gen Z employees. They're firing them just months after they hired them, according to a new report from Intelligent.com. But instead of putting the blame on Gen Zers, one expert told Newsweek whose fault it may really be. The survey revealed that 1 in 6 businesses says they were hesitant to hire recent college grads over concerns about how prepared they are for the work, as well as their communication skills and professionalism.
Communication skills. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. When you go to work, it's not very difficult. You put on a pair of dress shoes. You put on a pair of dress pants. You put on, you wear a dress shirt. guys, there was a time, I'll admit to this, like, this was like 15 years ago, where I was not that into fashion. So what I did was I got a brand new job and I was gonna go work for this really prestigious company. And I just went to the store and I spoke to the ladies, working at the store, and I told them, listen, I have a very important job, but I need business casual attire. I've got about $500 in my pocket, and could you please help me put together things? And they basically began putting together outfits for me, and they taught me how to dress myself. And don't get me wrong, I've always dressed very well. I've always dressed, dressed very, very well. But, now it was business casual. So it was no longer like shirt and tie. Like you had to dress business casual. So I knew how to dress business, but I didn't know how to do business casual. And they taught me how to dress business casual. All right? It's really, really not that difficult. It's not that difficult to figure this shit out. And now they have the internet. So I don't know what the fuck is wrong with them. They don't understand the concept of don't go to work wearing jeans. Or for example, if you don't know what to do, go and ask your manager. Go ask the people. Look at the people around you. All right? Just speak to someone like, "Hey, I'm just be humble. Hey, I'm new to the field. I'm trying to figure out exactly what's the appropriate way to dress here. Could you give me some examples?" People will tell your manager will love you for that. Oh gosh, of course I can. All right, so this is what you're going to do. Anyone who laughs in your face, that's probably a baby boomer. All right? Those are assholes. But even then, they'll still respect you for asking, especially the way that Gen Zers are now. They will still respect you for asking versus just showing up to work looking like a fucking idiot. Fucking nitwit. All right, and notice what I said. They mentioned that they have terrible communication skills. Communication skills, in other words, is they don't. When a problem arises, an idiot would realize you send an email and you let them know what's going on. All right, it, it's you don't have to be a genius to communicate. I'm going to be honest with you. You don't have to be a genius to communicate in the workforce. For example, I'm working on something. I don't understand something. I shoot an email over. Hello, so and so. I'm working on this right now, and I'm trying to figure out how to solve this. Could you please advise me? How the fuck do you not know how to do this? Like this is something about Gen X. While Gen X did not trust authority, Gen X respected authority, and Gen X had basic communication skills. By the time you were 7 or 8 years old, you knew how to communicate effectively. You knew how to speak to an adult. You knew how to speak to authority. All right? You did not trust authority, but you knew how to speak to authority. Gen Z never learned these things. So at 27 fucking years old, you don't know how to write a polite email. You don't know how to address a problem arises. You do not know how to go to the person designated, or if you don't know how to ask someone. Ask the person next to you. Ask the person who's been at the company longer than you. Ask your fucking manager. Send them a fucking email. And while you're waiting for a response, let's say they're busy, start working on something else if you're able to. Remain busy so that you're getting as much work done as possible. But these nitwits, for example, let's say I'm working on a project and I can't go any further. I need feedback from my manager or from someone else who understands what's going on because I've hit a roadblock. So while I'm waiting for feedback, I'm going to go ahead and jump into my emails because I have a bunch of clients I need to respond to. So I'm going to start responding to those client emails while I'm waiting for my I'm going to start responding to those client emails while I'm waiting for my manager to respond to me, or a senior engineer to respond to me, or someone who can help me through the problem. And I'm going to be I'm not just going to sit there and wait for someone to solve the problem for me. I'm also going to if I can, I'm going to look for ways to solve the problem on my own. How do I solve this problem? But if I'm struggling to solve the problem, then I'll ask for help and I'll continue doing my research at the same time. I'm not going to break down, and I'm not just going to get up and walk out. These people are punks. These people are motherfucking punks. They are punks.
6 in 10 employers had already fired college grads who were hired in 2024. 1 in 7 said they might refrain from hiring new college grads next year as well. So what it seems to be, it's not the generation itself, it's they are inadequately prepared for the real world. A couple $100,000.
TikTok didn't get them ready for the real world?
Right. Survey looked at responses from nearly 1,000 business leaders in August who revealed a strong skepticism from companies about how worthwhile Gen Zs are as employees.
And this is concerning as a parent of some people, of kids that are Gen Z. It's concerning to me because, like, you know, not everybody is like that.
Geeky Sparkles is a part of the problem. She said, as a parent of Gen Z, I didn't realize she was even that old. So as a parent of Gen Z, in other words, yeah, that's why she's like trying to stick up for them, because she's worried that her Gen Z kids are gonna go out there into the world and be discriminated against because no one likes these motherfuckers. So like she's a part of the problem. She's a part of the problem. Most Gen Zers are nitwits, disrespectful, and like I said, even the ones who can do the job, a lot of them still have very nasty personality traits, very, very difficult people to work with, and they don't get their job done. Like, they have no pride in the work that they do. And saying something like, well, if you paid me right, I would do my job, or if you if I was making enough money, I wouldn't steal from you, because Gen Zers are stealing from their employers, and their response is like, well, if they were paying me properly, I wouldn't have to steal from them. These people belong in prison, man. They belong in prison. I already told y'all that Gen Alpha is going to be a large prison population. That's the generation that comes after Gen Z. But as you can see, 6 out of 10 recent college grads that were hired, 6 out of 10 Gen Z employees that have been hired by companies have been fired in usually within a few months by their employers. A few months, not a year, not within a couple of months, like a few months. We're talking about like 2 to 3 months. So these motherfuckers are getting fired like rapidly. This usually does not happen. Typically, when you get hired at a company, and of course it could be society, it could be a lot of the social bias, but it's very hard. It's expensive to hire people. It's expensive to hire people. It costs money to train people. So you don't want to just hire people and then fire them right away. For Gen Zers to be getting fired so rapidly, it strongly suggests that employers who are hiring these people are discovering that they're so horrible to work with and that their skill sets are so poor that they cannot keep them around. You have to remember that in terms of proficiency, Gen Z are just not very good at learning. They're not very good at learning, and even those who are able to memorize things and regurgitate things, they are not very good with practical knowledge and application. Like, we have to learn on the fly. Guys, I learned basic audio engineering within like a couple of hours, and within 2 days I'm up and running and doing audio engineering, which I absolutely hate, but because you jackasses were bugging me about it, that's what I've been doing. I've up to my video editing skills, and I've been learning rapidly to improve the video editing. And many of you have to have noticed just how much the video editing has improved, and the visual quality, the audio quality. And I learned these things rapidly, guys. I learned much faster as an adult than I did as a young person. But of course, I realized that a lot of it is the educational system. The education system sucks. I was talking to Mayumi a while back, and I asked her, I was like, Mayumi, why the hell is your memory so good? And she said it's because of the Japanese education system. So I acknowledge the American education system is total shit. But, it's something that Neil deGrasse Tyson said that stood out to me. And I know many of you can't stand that motherfucker. The famous physicist who's famous for nothing other than being famous. And, he said something, though, that did stick with me. And he said that basically a lot of people who learn and and do well in school, they are learning and doing well in spite of having bad teachers. In spite of their teachers. Like, in many schools today, you go to class and you don't learn shit in class. It's all home study. You don't learn anything really from the professor. And now with things like ChatGPT, you're better off just using ChatGPT, referencing information, using Google to double check information. But you're kind of good. So increasingly, it's mostly just self-study, which is much better. Like, I love self-study. With having self-study and then basically having someone that you can reference and ask for help is valuable. Like, guys, for example, what's really crazy? There's, my thumbnail. Many of you guys will notice that I'm rolling out a new thumbnail design. We'll see if it sticks around. But, I wanted to learn how to apply certain visual elements to my thumbnails. I saw other content creators using this, and I wanted to learn how to do it, but I'm like, how the fuck am I going to do this? So what do? I load this shit up and I take the thumbnail from one of my favorite content creators that's using this, that uses the exact design. I load it up into ChatGPT, and basically I'm able to have it analyze the thumbnail. It calls it analyzing, and then it's able to help me to figure out the specific fonts that are used, the exact colors that are used, the exact visual elements that are used. I'm able to create a tutorial for myself that teaches me how to design, how to do exactly what they did or close enough, using my own graphic design software. And now my thumbnails are basically the same as I was able to get the exact effect that they're using and create similar thumbnails now. And that's insane to me. That's absolutely insane. And the average Gen Zer, it's like they're supposed to be up to date with technology because they were born into it. So you start playing with this. For us growing up, Word, Microsoft Word, WordPad, Notepad, those were toys for us growing up. We didn't have a lot, so we played with whatever we got our hands on. You know, many of you guys remember that little Snake game in Windows, like you had Snake and you basically would just click on it and the snake would move around. That's the kind of shit that we did. A lot of us just did not have it like that.
And sadly, because the ones that are coming ahead of them act that way, there are people who don't behave that way are going to get punished for it. And I don't think that's right. But I understand also what these businesses are coming from.
Let's see. Intelligent.com said many recent college graduates may struggle with entering the workforce for the first time, as it can be a huge contrast from what they're used to throughout their education journey.
What education journey did they go to? I mean, like, you still had to get work done.
They're often unprepared for a less structured environment, workplace cultural dynamics.
Oh, I mean, you have to get along with other people?
You have to get along with other people that might,
not agree
think
with you
or vote differently than you.
Gosh.
And the expectation of an autonomous work.
Wait, so the one there you're translation. You're not prepared for a less structured environment because you need somebody to hold your hand and walk you through all your things you have to do.
Yeah, pretty much. They said they have theoretical knowledge from college, but they lack practical real world experience. I think we need to bring back internships, apprenticeships.
I just really feel like these people would not thrive during internships and apprenticeships, because internships and apprenticeships require that you have to actually be invested in the work that you're doing. In an internship and an apprenticeship, that's where you can play around the least. You have to really learn. You have to really buckle down. That's not a game. These things are serious. So Gen Zers, like saying, well, we'll put them into an internship and apprenticeship. They're not paying attention in the workforce because they're not engaged and they do not have the skill sets. All right. And we're not simply talking about the knowledge. We're talking about they don't have basic communication skills. You're not going to learn those communication skills in an internship. Those communication skills are built typically over the course of your life. A lot of that shit comes with common sense and reasoning and, critical thinking. So an internship is kind of getting you, aware of a job. Like, okay, this is the job. This is how it's done. So this and this and this and this. An internship is not for holding your hand and teaching you how to basically write an email or how to have a conversation with your coworker. I mean, I'm sure there are elements of that in there, but it's not literal. It's guys, you don't expect that type of shit at an internship. These motherfuckers just don't give a shit. All right? These bad muffins just want to stay home and chill. All right? All they want to do is sleep and fart, sleep and fart, sleep and fart. And Geeky Sparkles, because she has some Gen Z miscreants, muffins that she knows that they're gonna face it and get theirs when they enter into the workforce, and she's gonna be blamed for them. She's trying to do a cleanup job right now, and I have nothing against Geeky Sparkles. I like Cloudfish, I like their content, but I'm just saying, that she's out here trying to do her cleanup job right now for Gen Z because she has some of these bad muffins, and the reality is that it's 99% of them. 99% of them. It's a little higher than that. It's really 99 point, but I'm just gonna say this: 99% of them are not very good people. They're not really good at anything. They're not very good at much. You can't really trust them real work. They're not really fit for anything. They're not fit for anything.
And because this is something that, you know, I'm kind of seeing just in general. We have so many people, and especially in the creative industries, and we talk about this all the time. They go to art school or they go to whatever, and they think that they're owed a job.
They're entitled. Yes, I went there, so you owe me a job. It's like, no, I don't.
Yeah, and of course they have the picture of the kid just like loafing around.
He's an adult, but yeah, we say kids.
Young
We're
adult.
being adults.
Young adult. They said unlike their older counterparts, this is coming from the New York Post, Gen Z suffers from the public perception they are chronically limited by short attention spans, a habit of laziness, and insistence on a robust work-life balance, a byproduct of growing up in a digital world.
But you see people having a meltdown because they're crying because they had to work 8 hours. And it's like, well, what did you think it was going to be? You know, like, what is your expectation?
And I'm going to tell you the reason why they're having such a hard time with the notion of having to work 8 hours. You see, for many of us, we went to school. So you have to wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Your ass has to be out by 7 a.m. You know, you're off to school. You're in school by 7:30, 8 o'clock. School begins. And then sometimes if you have after-school programs, you don't even leave until the sun is down. All right? And then by the time you get home, it's like, there's really not a lot that you can do. It's homework and then bed. No TV or like 15 minutes or 30 minutes of television. You eat whatever you're given, and that's about it. That was basically life for Gen X, and older millennials. Gen Z, on the other hand, these motherfuckers, a lot of them just never went to school. This is the lifestyle that Gen Xers lived, like from elementary school all the way to college. All right, but Gen Z, a lot of them were, they were in school during the events of 2020, and people just don't want to accept that it had a major effect on Gen Zers in their high school years, college years. I mean, even in their middle school years, because what they experienced was not having to go to school. They didn't have to go to school. They got to stay home. They got to earn degrees that they did not earn. So they received degrees that they didn't earn, diplomas that they didn't earn, and even pushed through the system. So, this is the reason why, like, a lot of employers are complaining about students that come from Ivy League schools, and they don't understand why they're so terrible. As someone who came from an Ivy League school, who graduated from an Ivy League school in 2024, does not have the same proficiency as someone who graduated from community college back in 2000. That's just how bad it is, or in 1990. So it's like these people, like their education and their knowledge from an Ivy League school, a person with an Ivy League postgraduate, an Ivy League undergraduate degree versus someone who just went to community college, they cannot even compare it to the guy who went to community college, 30 years ago, because that guy also comes in with a bunch of critical thinking skills, basic communication skills, understanding how to solve problems. To be honest with you, when it comes to even things like advanced math and a lot of other things, you just learn theory in college, but you don't learn how to actually do practical application until you enter into the workforce. And most Gen Zers don't know how to do jack shit. Okay? They don't know how to do jack shit. And that's what's going on. Like I said, many of them, they got used to not having to go to school, not having to actually do the real work, and having everything handed to them. So now they're like, what? I have to actually work 8 hours a day. And it's like, bro, you went to school for 8 hours. And they're like, not exactly. And even when they did go to school, they were just basically at school wanking. All right, just wanking. That's pretty much it. The bad muffins.
I don't understand.
I mean, not to be like that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. When I was like 19 or 20, I was working at a newspaper at the time, and I was working about 65 hours a week because somebody had to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not saying that makes it right.
No, I'm not saying it makes it right.
I think we all would like a better work-life balance, but the reality is you're not going to get that. And just because people say it on TikTok doesn't mean that's the reality of the situation.
Younger workers are also seen as more likely to be triggered and galvanized by social media-driven political and social campaigns that could disrupt the workflow and create headaches for their bosses, particularly in light of the national turmoil in recent years. And I think this is why, look, we've talked about this several times about companies pivoting and all these layoffs and everything. And I think some of them are financial. Some of them are, but I honest to God think a lot of tech companies and entertainment companies are using that excuse to get rid of people that they don't want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you know what?
They really don't want activists.
They don't want activists. They don't want activists. They don't want lazy people. They don't want entitled people. So, oh, guys,
they don't want a chief vibe officer.
They don't want a chief vibe officer.
Yeah, but guys, historically, you know, he just said they would, use things like changes in the economy and this and that to get rid of employers, but they would be getting rid of older employers because, younger employers are always viewed as gold. Like, oh, they're new and shiny. We can train them the way we want to train them. They're coming in with these new skill sets. So, their lexicon, their knowledge is more up to date than someone who's been sitting here for the last 10 years. And, so a person who a person who is 23 coming out of college would be more attractive 20 years ago than someone who was 35 years old, because they're like, well, that person is now set in their ways, and they're not nowadays. Old is gold. 35 is young. 50 is 50. Guys, because of the stupidity of Gen Z, now the older people my age, people much older than me, people even in their 60s, can now stay in the workforce much longer, and they can demand a lot more. For example, a senior, a software engineer can basically say, listen, you could give me the job. I've been, I can do the work, and this is how much money I'm going to ask for. The economy is very different right now. Inflation is a thing, and I'm going to need $300,000. And so they're going to say, excuse me, we've clearly put it there that that the range for this job is 120, and I understand that, and I'm letting you know that I'm going to need 300,000. That's really how it is. And if you don't like it, you go hire a Gen Zer. All right, go hire 3 or 4 of them, and they basically know at that point they're fucked. All right, the companies know at that point they're fucked because one motherfucking Gen Zer, 10 motherfucking Gen Zers, cannot do the job of one person who is proficient and has a track record of consistency. It's true. It's absolutely true. Like Gen Z is fucking. Gen Z is so cooked. They are so cooked like a Christmas ham. All right, like call Charlie Brown. They are done. They are done. Done. No one has faith in these bad muffins. I mean, like, let me show you guys this screenshot. I just actually made this poll, and you guys can see the question: who would you hire for an important job, right? And the answers were basically recent Gen Z college grads with relevant degrees, a hardworking individual with some field knowledge, not Gen Z. I don't know. I don't care. Those were the choices, and 294 people voted. And as you can see, only 5% said that they would hire a recent college grad. Only 5%, while a whopping 83% said a hardworking individual with some field knowledge, not Gen Z. Okay, 3% said that they don't know. 9% said that they didn't care. It's amazing, guys, how you have a lot of enablers, people that are enabling Gen Z, but when it comes time to giving them a job, like these, you have to bet a lot of the same people who are enabling them will not work with them or will not hire them because they're not going to risk their money or their livelihood or the livelihoods of other people on these bad muffins. These bad fucking muffins. I also want to remind you guys about the Angry Guy Clubhouse. It's pretty darn lit. So go check out the Angry Guy Clubhouse on Substack. Dive into exclusive podcasts, manosphere topics, and more. Plus, get access to our passive income blueprint, exclusive videos, and guides on building wealth and thriving. We also have a chat where you can reach me directly. Don't miss out. Click the link in the description to subscribe now and get your free passive income blueprint, guys. Go and do that. What do you guys think with the situation with Gen Z? Employers don't want to hire them anymore. 6 out of 10 employers who hire Gen Zers in 2024 have already fired them, and we know that the rest are within a few months of hiring them, and we know that the rest are on the way. Guys, I believe that most of Gen Zers are going to be in extraordinary states of destitution and poverty in the coming decade. They will be going into their full blown hippie era, and they're going to become a drag on society. They will basically be known as shady, shifty individuals, and they're going to be a generation of people who are going to be stealing and squatting because their parents cannot hold them down forever. Let me know your thoughts if you agree with this analysis, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.